Morning, Waypoint Zero. Sit back, get a cup of coffee, and enjoy the next half hour watching me do my February 2023 ice fishing adventure. As you can see here, I've taken the snowmobile up here and the brand new trailer we put together, and what I'm doing is stopping to take a look at the lay of the land here, or lay of the lake, I guess. What I'm going to do here, as you can see, I've got the ice auger, and it's a new ice auger that we have. It's a 40 volt, I think it's a Strike Master, 10 inch, and boy does it ever chew up the ice. Very happy with it, but I just pulled into the general area where I wanted to go fishing here, and typically this is kind of a weedy area. It averages about 10 to 12 feet deep. In the summertime, the weeds grow up pretty high, and it's a great place to catch crappies and sunfish and small, and you see a lot of the smaller bait fish here. Here I am putting the 40 volt battery pack on the auger here, and I'm going to drill my first hole for the day. Looking at it, looks like the auger blade is pretty frozen up here, so I'm going to try to smack a little bit of the ice on there so I'm not cutting into the ice here. It wasn't very effective, but it was a shot anyways. Kind of a beautiful sunny day, just a wisp of clouds over there, but it was very cold. It was about 0 degrees at this time, and the wind was blowing kind of cold. But I'm one of those strange people that actually likes the cold and the winter, and that's one of my favorite times of the year. So here I am. You're going to see how quickly this thing goes into the ice. This is about I think it was about 19 inches of ice or so that we had at this time, and that 10-inch bit goes through it like butter here. So I went in there, and the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to go on and take my Garmin graph, and I just got the bottom of the line, the small Garmin, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take an initial depth here to kind of see where I'm at with regards to the shore. I felt like I was pretty close to the shore here, so I was expecting it to be anywhere from about 10 to 12 feet deep here. But to my surprise, when I put the transducer in there, which is going to happen here fairly shortly, I ended up reading about 26 to 25 feet deep there, which is deeper than I wanted to be, but it was surprising to me because I fully expected for it to be about 12 feet deep of water. As untangling the transducer in here, it doesn't take me very long to take a look at it and see, oh, this is a little bit too deep. So you can hear the wind. All right, where am I going to go from here? How do I get to 12 feet of water? So I'm thinking, boy, I'm close to the shore, and I would expect it to be a lot shallower here. So what's going on here? So I take it, and I think I went about 10 paces beyond the hole there towards the shore, and then I took a right turn thinking, you know what, this might be a channel in here. And so I basically ended up taking about 50 paces here on a kind of a right angle here, and decided that I was going to drill there. So of course I don't have a cameraman. Help wanted. I do need a cameraman at some point here. Karen's not volunteering at this point, so I don't know. I'll have to find someone different. But anyways, we're going over to try to drill a hole here, and of course, I can't remember just to grab the darn graph at this point, I like to take trips across the ice. You know, the more the better. But here, so we're drilling in another hole. Yeah, this thing really chews through the ice. The first time we took it out, I think we ended up drilling about 25 holes, and it was, just going strong at the end of it. It's nice not have to deal with gas and oil and all of that stuff on a, you're not smelling of exhaust or anything like that. The electric is just really nice. All right, so trip back. Now we're going. They call this, everybody jokes about this as ice fishers. Oh, so you're trolling. You're doing all of these holes and stuff like that rather than just trolling. But anyway, so I go to the hole here and I drop in, and lo and behold, with that little bit of movement there, what I found is I was at about 15 or 16 feet deep of water right there. So that little bit of distance there, we're seeing about a 10-foot difference in depth. So in my head, what I'm thinking at this point is wow, that's a pretty quick transition from somewhat deeper water into shallower, weedy water where the bait fish are. So I've caught a lot of fish over the years, whether it's walleye and you'll find that this is lake trout that we end up with here, is that they like to come in on from the deep parts of the lake, and then those big transitions, they'll come up the big transitions and they'll snipe the bait fish out of the weeds and stuff up in the little shallower waters, and then they retreat back into the deeper water where they prefer. So at 15 feet deep, I was like, okay, this is where I'm gonna start fishing here. So I got lucky. I didn't have to drill a bunch of holes, and you try to go in straight line patterns and then go parallel against the shore and stuff like that until you find the depth, and you can just kind of plot as you go what you see as the depth of the water underneath. But here I am. I put the thing in here, and I was hoping that I would get a little bit better of a view on the Garmin finder here. But if you look at it really closely, you can kind of see what's going on the graph there. One of the things I noticed is you don't see a lot of suspended fish, especially in this kind of situation. What you will see is you'll see a line and a gap and maybe a little bit of red right on the bottom, because the fish tend to stick right on the bottom there. So when you get a gap between the bottom line there, or you get some red in there, a lot of times it's just the red in there. You can see that there's fish in the area that are, and the depth finder comes down as a cone, like about a 20-foot cone or so. At this depth, it's probably 10, 15 feet or so, 10, 15 feet in diameter there. But you'll see, any fish, and they don't tend to suspend. They tend to come right in on the bottom, which I thought was kind of interesting. And so here I am, just getting everything out of the trailer, the ice fishing pole and all that. So. Fishing is patience. You have to, a lot of time it's just, and here I jumped 5 minutes later. So actually we weren't even doing a lot of waiting here. It's just boom, 5 minutes later. And now if you can listen, that's my drag screaming off the reel. So I had hooked into something here, and quite frankly, I had no chance of even stopping this thing. This thing was so big, it was just, my reel was screaming, whatever I had hooked into there. So you'll probably hear a muffled cuss here, or hopefully I'm over the top of it with the voiceover here. But anyways, what happened is I put the reel in, and I didn't have it really set up, and I hadn't tested in that 5 minutes, I really didn't adjust my drag at all. So I was a little loose on the drag, and I had no hope of even stopping this one. And I think it was too big for this, probably for the pole and the weight of tackle I had here. With these bigger fish, I mean, they just rip these light rigs up. I was kind of hoping for more, the smaller walleyes and stuff like that, but with these bigger Lakers, it just they just run with it forever, and you just gotta, when you first catch into them, it's like, who's got who, does the fish have you, or do you, and you can, they're, all of the bigger ones that I've gotten here, they rip a half spool of line off and nothing, and then you just got to take your time pulling them in. It's usually about a 5 to 10 minute fight here, but we've long lost the fish here. And of course, rather than really spending the time to check all my gear before I go out here, you can see that there's kind of a gap in here because, of course, the handle fell off of the reel, so I had to go fish around in the thing and find the little screw to put that in there. Just a reminder to myself that I need to, put a little drop of blue Loctite on those things and keep them in there, because they tend to, with the rattling of the snowmobile and going across the lake and all that stuff, everything tends to loosen and get bumped and battered as you go through the thing here. But so I spent a lot of time just kind of fixing up the rod on this deal here. But if you look at the, if you can look close enough, you can kind of see the dim graph there, and you can see that there is fish down there, because you see that green line on the top, or the green line where the bottom is. Every once in a while you'll see a red line in there, and that's the bigger fish kind of coming right in. I don't know what they do. They must come just right in on the top of the low weeds there, and they're picking off bait fish right on the thing, because they don't really get up too high. One of the things I do to kind of attract them is this, you do kind of a Swedish pimple on this thing, and I'll jerk it up or jig it up about 5-10 feet, and that tends to kind of excite them in there, but they don't hit until it actually gets right down to the bottom as it floats, kind of flutters down to the bottom. So here I would expect it, sitting for a while, just get my tackle and everything squared away here, but it didn't take long. So we'll kind of watch this. Of course, everything that I catch here, it was kind of a surprise to me, because I was actually kind of going for crappies and maybe hoping for a walleye here, but this place is kind of where we get into lake trout here. And lake trout, I tend to catch and release lake trout. Well, I don't tend to, I do. I mean, they, you don't, I wouldn't keep them. Just that they're bigger fish, and but they sure are fun to catch. I mean, when you catch one, it's just like hooking into a submarine. I mean, they just go, and it takes a while. You just got to wait for have enough line on your reel so that it tires them out, so you can start to, and then they slow down, and you can start to get them moving back your way. But if you get a big one like that first one that I had on there, you can't turn them. They just keep going and going and going. And that's one of the reasons why I lost that one, is I did the big no-no, which is to actually fiddle with your drag while you're catching a fish. You want to keep your hands off your drag, because guaranteed, you touch that drag, you lose the fish. So here I am. It shouldn't. I think I just had a bite there, but we should be getting into kind of, it comes pretty fast and furious. I mean, when you're thinking about it, there's about 4 minutes between fish here before I get another one. So, and then I cut 5 minutes out. So if you're sitting there only for less than 10 minutes and you're catching a fish, you're in a good spot. ice is really crunchy. It was cold. I actually like that. It says when it's crunchy and it's kind of, you don't get wet. I don't want to talk too much here because they're just about to get the bite here, and I want you to hear the drag squeal here. If you look close, you might be able to see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I just set the hook. Hear it scream? As I fight this, I start to get tangled up in the transducer, and then I'm fighting it with one hand and trying to adjust the camera so you can start to see a little more here. I don't think this guy's even realized he's hooked at this point. He's kind of just sitting down there. He hasn't really... Oh, there I am. I'm fighting that the transducer there. One of the cool things here is if you look at the face of the graph really closely, all of a sudden you can see the reflection, the reflection of my reel, and you can see me reeling the fish up as a reflection on the graph there. With a cameraman, and it probably would be better just to point it actually at the reel and the thing there, but I'm trying to not lose the fish, and I'm all because you have to be pretty sensitive when you're pulling these things in, because they if you just put a little bit too much tension on them, they'll just bend it. Yeah, you hear the run there. At this point, it's up in the air as to who's got who. All right, so did a little bit of a movement here to see if I could get it. I wish I would have tilted the camera up a little higher. But this whole time, I'm still kind of fighting the fish here. Yeah, there he goes. Really a lot of fun to catch these fish on those little light ice fishing things. I mean, I was kind of prepping for like panfish and that, and here I am catching 10, 12 pound Lakers instead. Did you hear the ice crack there? It's kind of eerie when you're out there quiet in the middle of the lake and you hear that ice cracking underneath you. I mean, the ice is almost 2 feet deep, so it'll never crack out from under you, but it makes those bloop sounds. Oh, there's his head. There he is. Let me see. Out he comes. There he is. That's a big one. big one. That comes from my son's real good friend Quay Sean, who has a fishing channel, Fishing with Quay, and he lives down in Texas. And yeah, he's always going after the big ones. Of course, I'm trying to extract the hook out of the thing. You know, when you catch one of these things, you know, they got to bury all through 3 hooks into the mouth there. So yeah, greatest thing in the world is one of those little what do they call those? Those clamps, those little clamping pliers and stuff. But here he is. This is a big one right here. Yeah, those are the kind that you catch, and boy, are they fun to catch. So here I'm digging around for my phone, so trying to get a little bit of a picture of the phone here. So there it is. There it is. And then back in the hole he goes. I got him kind of halfway through and he got stuck going through the hole there, so I had to let him do the whole thing there. Now you got the cold hands, except you don't feel them because all the adrenaline. But and then got to get on the ringer to tell everybody about the big fish. So